Hey kids, what time is it?
Hey, it's Edson with GeekTime TV with a little bit of a review of Mark Millar's Big Game. It's a new comic book that just came out a few days ago. This is a cover for issue number one. This was something that I was looking forward to, and the uniqueness of this is that this is the first time Millar is putting in virtually all of his creator-owned characters from different stories into one big crossover event, and that's this Big Game. Like I said, it just came out. I got mine today, and I immediately went to reading on it, and really, really like it. I recommend it to everybody. Millar actually said, I heard him say, this was probably the best writing he's ever done in a comic, which is saying a lot. But I did read it, and it's as advertised. Um, this video is obviously going to give away some spoil. I'm not going to go too deeply into the story, but I will give some spoilers of it. So there's my spoiler warning there. So the concept of Big Game is that back in 1986, a bunch of supervillains got together and wanted to take care of the superhero problem, and that means going around targeting every superhero and basically eliminating them once and for all, so that they could just get on with whatever they wanted to do, whatever schemes they wanted to do, without having to bother, without being bothered by some superhero coming along and stopping them. So that's what happened, and then now years later, in the present day of this comic book, there's a new crop of superheroes that are kind of appearing, and this organization led by the character from his Wanted title, and there's Nemesis here in the back. This organization is starting to see the signs of these new superheroes coming about, and they're like, oh, why we need to take care of this problem before it gets before it gets too many of them out, and then it's going to get out of hand, and it's then we're back to where we started from. And it's a pretty good concept. I know the Millar's Netflix deal a few years back. He was created a bunch of new intellectual properties and a bunch of new characters, so that Netflix could adapt to TV series. And so he's been working on those, and this is a great way of kind of bringing them into this kind of crossover where a bunch of new characters that he just recently created are, the good guys, and now that this criminal organization is noticing them, and now wants to kind of nip it in the bud and get rid of them all over again, like back in 1986. And Millar cleverly writes into the story that today. In today's the reason why we have so many we're so obsessed with superhero movies and books and TV series is because that we have some vague memory of back when the world had superheroes, and of course they got eliminated, and now we're still obsessed with them by having all these movies and books and everything, and that's he kind of cleverly writes that into the story. Millar is also good at putting in little clues or putting vague descriptions or some kind of dialogue that seems to be gives a clue that points to certain characters that are not his characters, but certain popular characters, but obviously without actually saying that they are those characters, but it kind of just references them, and it's like, as a reader you kind of know, oh yeah, that's what he meant, but obviously he can't come out and say that it's those characters because he doesn't own them, and I'll get to some examples of that in this first issue. So Big Game's going to be a 5-issue series. Got the beginning, middle, and ending. I have no idea how this is going to end. I know it's going to be good. And this is typical for Millar's titles, usually about five issues or so, with a complete story. And like I said, in his Netflix deal, he's coming up with a bunch of new stories, a bunch of new original characters that Netflix wants to adapt to TV series. And I didn't realize this, but in his deal, it's not that I kind of assumed like, oh, he's a comic book writer, so whatever comic books he comes out with, then Netflix gets first dibs on adapting to video. But it's kind of like the opposite of that, as Millar explained. I heard that recently, is that the deal is that he just comes up with the original stories that they go right to create a series out of it, and with no thought of a comic book or anything at all from Netflix's point of view, because they're not a comic book company. And Millar, being a comic book writer, was saying to them, well, can I still write the comic book as well in addition to coming up with the story for the video? And of course, they didn't have an objection to that. He's basically not getting paid for adapting into the comic book. That's kind of like outside of the deal with Netflix. But he loves writing comic books so much that he wanted to do it. He just wants to do it. And Netflix isn't going to have an objection to it, because the comic book is going to get produced first, probably before you can get it on typical comic book. Typical story is going to be able to be produced on comic book first before getting it onto video. So it's kind of like free marketing for it. I think he said the only condition they had was like, make sure you get the best artists, and Millar's always had that, always been able to get the best artists for this. And especially actually in Big Game, he gets Pepe Larraz, really great artist, as you'll see some of the images coming up. So let's see, here's a cover for the first issue, a bunch of covers actually for the first issue. Excuse me. Some really good art here. Here's one with Kick-Ass and Hit Girl. One with his character Nemesis. And here is, again, spoilers again. Here is the beginning of the story. You see 1986 here, and again, he's making these. You don't know for sure, but it looks like it's a bunch of villains who have ambushed Justice League in their satellite headquarters, because not because there's just some clues that point to it. That looks like it's supposed to be Batman here, I believe, and this character from Millar's Wanted series is all that training, all those push-ups. It isn't much good against a little napalm. Okay, clearly a reference to Batman. Another character says, I know what you're thinking. Your teammate with the magic ring should be here to relieve you from monitor duty soon, but he was early, I'm afraid. We got him as soon as he stepped out of the teleporter. Obviously a reference to Green Lantern. And of course the teleporter, they have a teleporter that gets people in and out of their Justice League headquarters. And looks like all that's left of the Green Lantern is basically his skeleton. And basically that you have your introduction to the story about them ambushing some of the superheroes here, and then the story goes on from there into the current time, and goes on to introduce a bunch of, not introduce, but have a few pages for a bunch of new characters that he's created over the last few years as part of the crossover. The other thing is Millar himself actually did this as kind of a little bit of spoiler. I believe it was either the day before or the day of this release of the first issue. He tweeted out something that said "Big Game spoiler," and underneath it was this image of a animated, and it was like a comic book type image with a character. It was a redhead with the bat signal behind her, obviously referencing Barbara Gordon, Batgirl, and I was like, wow. That as soon as I got the issue number 1, I immediately, as I'm reading the story, I'm like looking out for like Barbara Gordon character, and sure enough, in there, this is the last thing I'm going to say about the issue, is like there's a character. She's not, of course, she's not going to be named Barbara Gordon, but she's a redhead, and she leads a couple other characters into this underground complex. I think it's an obvious reference to the Batcave, and she says something like, "Yeah, I'm the last of the old-time superheroes. I was the last survivor, and I've been holed up here, just buying my time until we could fight back." And it seemed like the story is going towards them using that as their kind of like headquarters for the good guys to fight back, and she's saying, it's filled with all sorts of technology or whatever. So again, like I said, he's able to cleverly put those type of things in there, even though obviously he can't come right out and say she's Barbara Gordon. But I was excited about that. Barbara Gordon is one of my favorite DC characters, so that's just another plus for this issue. Very excited about this series. Can't wait till presumably this is going to be another series that's going to make it onto video with Netflix, so I can't wait for that. I don't know how far down the road it'll be. Millar did say he's got probably around 20 or 25 IPs that Netflix is going to adapt over the next, I don't know, 5-10 years, or I'm not sure how that timing is going to be disrupted by the current writers and actors strike, but they'll get on there, and I'm going to be excited to not just read the rest of this story, but seeing this on the screen someday, and really looking forward to it. Again, highest recommendation, and another great win for Mark Millar. Issue number 1 just came out a few days ago, so you could go right on to your local comic book shop and pick it up, and let me know in the comment section what you think. Okay, that's it for me. Big recommendation for big game. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for watching GeekTime TV. If you like this video, please subscribe to the channel. If you subscribe, make sure to check the little bell icon anytime someone from our network drops new content here. Want some GeekTime swag? Check out the merchandise available in the GeekTime TV store, linked in the channel description below. Share GeekTime TV with friends, and as always, thank you for your support. We'll see you soon.